Okay, so here we are to talk about padlock shims. It's a topic that's been treated many times by many other sources. I certainly don't claim to be the authority on the subject. I don't claim to be the creator of this particular technique. But I am kind of the one who popularized it at a number of conferences, and now it's sort of the method you see described as perhaps the most effective and probably the easiest to do. It even made its way into a book by someone named Neil Strauss called Emergency. If you flip on over, you'll see the soda can, a beer can, padlock shim technique. Like a lot in this book, it's not exactly explained correctly here, but he does his best to convey it. Hopefully this will make it even more clear for you. The crux of the matter is just about any simple spring-loaded shackle padlock, be it a combination lock, a keyed padlock, they almost all have very weak protections, have very weak mechanisms holding the shackle closed. And slipping a thin piece of metal down into the lock is usually enough to spring that shackle unlatched, pop it open, very, very easy. I think that it's simple enough to do with found materials. You can actually purchase proper commercial padlock shims from locksmith supply houses. Nothing wrong with that. But then you have to pay, money out of pocket. You have to wait for them to come in the mail. Really, all the supplies you need are available everywhere around you. Every beer can you come across, because, beer is good, I recommend using them. If you're not into beer, that's all right. I don't know why, but, you can always use something like Old Faithful Kickapoo Joy Juice. After it all, it is the original Joy Juice recipe. I'm going to make a couple of shims here for you, then kind of go into the description of the process a little more in detail, so you can see just how easy this is. I can freehand these pretty effectively now, not just because I've done them for a very long time, but because just by cutting the right shape at the start, you can really eyeball and visualize where you're going, and not have too much difficulty in placing your cuts exactly where they need to be. Here's our pre-made shim stock. A couple of quick folds. And we've got something that very closely approximates what you'd get in a proper professional supply catalog. Inserting this into the lock, which is in fact locked. Down, in, pressure. Oh, fail town. Down, in, pressure, release. All right, maybe we'll edit that out, or maybe we'll keep it in just to show you that we're not, we're not faking this here. One more time, the cutting process. Nice curved cuts. Up to the middle, down to the edge middle there. Singular, unbroken curve, coming around to complete that M. Maybe a little bit of excess on the side. There is our letter M shape. Make a few folds. Tail pieces up and around. And rock it and round it into shape. There you are. Perfect padlock shim. Now, authorities differ on the actual use and implementation of this tool. Some people will tell you to come in from the inside and try to work it down. Nothing wrong with that if you can get it to function that way. Some people have an easy time of it. I have had personally more success starting on the outside of the padlock. Get just the tip of the shim seated down into the shackle's groove. Now you can push that in a little ways, but you're not going to get it too far because these wings are going to start to hit the lock body. Nowhere for them to go. It's at this time that you want to pinch those wings together as hard as you can. Of course, this is a fully locked lock. If you pinch those wings together really hard, It'll give the whole shim a lot of strength, a lot of rigidity. It'll resist crumpling and bending to some degree. Pinch and rotate the shim. Either way, whichever way you want to is fine, but keep deep downward pressure into the lock as you do. Some people will go ahead and put like a fingernail or bang down with their thumb on the outside. The tighter you grip, the easier this is. Down, turn, and in. Now, if you think you have it all the way in, and it looks pretty good, look how far it's sunk down. If you think you have it, don't mess with the shim at that point. Leave it alone. Just take hold of the shackle, pull up, there you go. The lock is open. It really is that simple. And look at that, our shim even came out unharmed. They won't last forever. Sometimes 1 or 2 attempts is all you get. It's not really a problem. Kick back another beer, make yourself some more. Endless supply of raw materials, always at your disposal, if you're thirsty enough. Simple as that, really. And remember, all you're doing is exploiting the fact that the retention mechanism is spring-loaded in almost every padlock. Usually we like to say that if you can just slap it shut without manipulating it, without operating a key, chances are the retention mechanism is one of those spring-loaded mechanisms. Key, above all things, is a proper sized starting piece of metal. More often than not, when people foul this up, it's because they're not using a piece of can metal that is the right size. If you start out with metal that is maybe 2 inches by 1 inch, maybe even we'll call this 2.5 inches. Or if you're on the other side of the pond, dealing with metal that's about 5 centimeters by 2 centimeters. That is a good sized starting piece of metal. If you can remember that, and if you have maybe a marker to help you out, everything else you need to know about making a shim can be extrapolated out just by dividing this up into easy to recall dimensions. What are those dimensions? Well, start off by dividing this metal directly in half on both axes. So you have this metal split, half and half. Step 2, divide each half in half. You got that? So now it's been quartered in both directions.
Het bier zal weer vloeien, het bier zal weer vloeien, het bier zal weer vloeien in ons kelder.